Welcome back, YouTube, to what is currently, as of today, the Chris McDaniel Productions YouTube channel. Hopefully, by next Thursday, we'll have a new name here. It should be the Bam Bam Motorsports channel. I have applied for the special use permit to have this property rezoned for business so I can get my LLC and start working on motorcycles and stuff in here. We're going to be using this shop as a motorcycle ATV, UTV repair and build shop. I'm going to be doing the basics, anything from oil changes, tire swaps, brake swaps, fluid changes, that sort of thing, to full builds, hopefully. So we'll see how that goes next week. Speaking of shops, I do have big news. About, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago, I signed the order form for a 30 by 60 by 14 metal building. It's going to go about 100 feet behind the current shop. I didn't really have much choice. I have to buy a new shop. This shop right here, this current shop, is only a 24 by 24. This is the first shop that I've ever owned. It's the first time I've ever had a space with concrete floors to be able to do my builds. Prior to this, everything was done in the driveway at either my parents' house or buddies' houses, that sort of thing. We've been in this house for about 6 years now, and the shop's been great to me. There's no doubt about it. I've done some, what I would say, are pretty impressive things here in this particular shop, given its small size. I mean, we've built several pulling trucks. I LS swapped the bump side in here, which had pretty much, stressed this space to its limits, but we were able to get it done. So with this shop becoming the business, and the business will be in this shop, I decided, hey, it's time to pull the trigger. It's time to get myself a larger shop for my own personal use and some of the bigger builds that we may be doing and some of the events that we have planned to happen right here on property. A lot of exciting news to come there. I don't want to give out too much info yet because nothing's set in stone. I mean, they may deny my permit. Who knows what could happen. So, we're not going to talk about that until it's official. Like I said, hopefully by the end of next week, I'll be able to announce that. You may see the name of the channel change, and then possibly even some merch come out, and we will go from there. Also, other exciting news on this channel. So far, right now this is the only bike that I currently own, but that's going to change. I agreed to a deal on a 1997 Road King and also a 2007 Softail. The Road King, that's going to be a bike for the wife and I to ride up on. Not a lot is going to get done to it. It's going to stay mostly stock. It will have some upgrades because, well, you know me. There's going to have to be some upgrades done. I have to make that bike, my own, basically. The Softail, that's going to be my new daily. This bike, this Vrod, was my daily for 4 years. Put a lot of miles on this old girl, and she, did well for me. But as you can see, she's not much of a street bike anymore, so need a replacement. Another reason that I'm picking up those two bikes, well, first and foremost, I'm picking up both of them because I got a smoking deal on them. They're coming from the same seller. Guy I work with has them up for sale. He is, getting a little bit older, doesn't ride much anymore, and these two bikes are just sitting around. So we come to a deal, and depending on the weather, I should be able to pick them up this coming weekend. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's pretty much a done deal. We've already shook hands. No money's changed hands yet, but that's not a big deal, So what else is exciting about that is the Road King has 80-inch Evo motor on it. The Softail has a 96 twin cam motor on it. And the plan is to bring them in, change basically one part at a time, with the exception of I'll probably do an intake and exhaust on both bikes at the same time because that's just kind of what you do. I'm going to start with an intake and exhaust on both bikes, and then both of them are going to get at least a cam swap, and one or both of them is probably going to get a big bore kit of some sort. I don't know how much I'm going to do to the Evo. mainly because there's not a whole lot of bolt-in big bore options for that motor. Basically, about the biggest you can go on the stock cases is 85 inches, and I really don't know if it's worth the effort and the money to only gain 5 cubes on that particular engine. Those engines aren't known for horsepower, obviously. The twin cam, I'm probably going to go to at least a 103 with that one, but more than likely bigger than that. But we'll talk about that at a later date. So yeah, like I said, we got 2 new bikes coming to the channel. We got a new shop coming to the channel. We got a new name coming to the channel, and a business coming to the channel. So a lot of exciting things going on here. Now let's get to what we're going to do today. So obviously we're turboing the V-Rod here. I have got the hot side piping fully welded. Turbo is fully mounted. I have oil feed and return lines already plumbed. So the turbo side of things is finished. Well, I need to change out the fuel pressure regulator, the fuel pump, and the injectors. I have an 034 Motorsports 5-bar fuel pressure regulator, boost reference pressure regulator to go in here. I have a Walbro 255 to go in the tank. And I also have a set of 1400cc Black Ops drop-in fuel injectors that are supposed to be here tomorrow. Those come all the way from Finland. A guy on the 1130cc.com forum, the V-Rod forum, hit me up when I put up a post looking for a set of injectors. I was actually looking for 1200 cc's. He said, hey, I've got these Black Ops injectors. They're 1400 cc's. You know, this is what you can get them for. And I said, sure, send them. Well, at the time, I didn't realize he was in Finland, but believe it or not, I ordered something else from Texas the same day that he shipped those out from Finland, and the injectors from Finland are going to beat the parts for the Duramax from Texas. That's how crazy our postal system is here in the U.S. But anyway, so today, what we got to do, we got to get the throttle bodies off, which I've already taken the air box and stuff off, but I'm sure you guys know how to do that. We're going to get the throttle bodies off, get the fuel injectors out, get the fuel pressure regulator out. And then hopefully by the end of this video, the injectors will be here and we'll be able to start putting stuff back together. I'm going to do a full video on the in-tank fuel pump because I realize that there is a lot to cover there. So we're going to make that its own separate video. So right now I'm going to get the cameras set up. I'm going to do a time lapse on this deal because I don't think you guys want to see me turn every nut and bolt out of this thing. And let's go ahead and get this unit ripped apart. Okay, so we got the fuel rail and injectors out. I have already swapped over the injectors that I'm going to end up using. I also have the 034 Motorsports 5-bar fuel pressure regulator, the boost reference one, installed into the rail. But I do have to eat a little bit of crow. I made a mistake when I ordered these, or bought these injectors off of Carza. Two things that I did not account for. One, the O-rings that go into the cylinder head side of things. The ones that come on it are way smaller. They have a smaller outer diameter, but they also have a narrower O-ring groove in them. They do not fit tight down into the cylinder head, so they would be a massive vacuum / boost leak. I could probably get some different O-rings and make that work, but something else, I don't know how I missed this. They have a different plug on them. Obviously, I can, just order a set of adapter plugs, but I decided for the time being to go ahead and use a set of brand new Destroyer injectors that was given to me by a good friend of mine. We're going to run those for now. I will eventually get these put in, these 1400cc Black Ops injectors, but I got to doing some soul searching, and as I've said many times in this build, this engine has a lot of miles on it, nearly 70,000 miles. So I'm going to start with the smaller injectors and basically see what I can get out of these on pump gas. The eventual goal is to go E85, and for that I definitely will need these injectors. But after doing the calculations and doing some reading on the forums, there have been a couple guys that have made over 200 to the rear wheels with just the Destroyer injectors and the 5-bar fuel pressure regulator. So we're going to give that a try. But something else I need to discuss too, I got to going over my logs from last season, and I noticed a trend where the bike would run really strong to the 8th mile. And I mean, I was running between 103, 104 mile per hour in the 8th, but then only running 117 to 119 out the back, and then sometimes on a good pass, I'd get up to about 121. And I got to thinking about that. Those numbers don't make a lot of sense. If I'm running 7 seconds in the 8th, I should be, theoretically, running 1050s in the quarter, and I'm only running like 1110s in the quarter. And I'm starting to wonder if I wasn't having a bottle pressure issue after the 8th mile, because I only run 8th mile here locally, and like I said, the bike runs its ass off to the 8th. So I'm starting to think that the bottle pressure was dropping after the 8th mile, and the bike was starting to go super rich, which really makes sense because my plugs always showed on the rich side. The data log for my wideband kind of confirmed that too. And so it only makes sense that I was probably, like I said, dropping bottle pressure. So yeah, the bike was making 175 horse on the dyno, and at 175 horse and a combined weight of me and the bike at 975 pounds, I should be running bottom 10s in this thing with 175 horse. So what I'm starting to think is I wasn't making 175 horse the whole way down the track. I mean, yeah, 3-4 second blast on the dyno, it might have put up those numbers, but I would say the power was dropping off pretty significantly the farther down the track that I went. So I digress. With this boosted setup, as long as I can keep fuel flow and air going through the turbo, I should make roughly the same horsepower all the way down the track. So maybe I don't need 200 horsepower, to run well into the 10s. Maybe I only need 165, 170 horsepower. Maybe I don't even need that much. So we're going to run this. We're going to try this. If it doesn't work, whatever. You heard it here first. I'll be the first to admit that I'm wrong. But if not, maybe I look like a hero in the end. These injectors were going to be a freaking nightmare for part throttle driving and stuff anyway, because they are so large. I would say they were going to idle like crap. I've heard that these Destroyer injectors also are a little hard to tune on the idle and the mid-range, but I still think that they would be easier to tune than these. These are the stock injectors that come out of the bike, and honestly, I did a little spray test on them off camera, and spray pattern was fantastic on them. I mean, these injectors are still really good for a stock set. probably hang on to those. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and set the camera up again, and we're going to go ahead and get this stuff reinstalled and try to get the throttle bodies and stuff back on it tonight. And then hopefully I can plug some new injector data into the Daytona Twin-Tech, and we can hear this thing fire up on its new fuel system. Guys, so as you've seen on the time lapse, I got everything reinstalled, got the throttle bodies back on, the new injectors in, the new fuel pressure regulator in. Off camera, I did plumb in some vacuum lines. I teed off of the map sensor line that I have here for this GM 3-bar external map sensor, and then ran it back down to the fuel pressure regulator. I got my new injector data plugged into the Daytona Twin-Tech here, so let's see if she'll light off. Okay, so obviously it fired right up. Don't see any fuel leaks or anything, but it is definitely quite a bit rich, which I had pretty much assumed that that was going to be the case. I noticed that the BLM tables were pulling quite a bit of fuel, so I'm going to have to go in and play with that. But I got to say, I mean, with this Twin-Tech, I don't think I've ever had a tuning platform this simple. I mean, typically when you do an injector change like we did, I mean, granted, the destroyer injectors aren't much bigger than the stock ones. You're talking about maybe like close to, well, not even quite 2 grams per second difference. But I mean, in terms of your fuel numbers, that's pretty significant, and this thing just ate it right up. So yeah, we're making pretty good progress here. So all that's left to do is the in-tank fuel pump, which, like I said, I'm going to make a whole video on that. I need to plumb in the charge piping. I have a plenum that I got from a guy down in North Carolina. I won't mention his name. He might not like that, but anyway, it's a good plenum to build off of. It's basically just a base plate. So I've got to get that from there to here. And I don't know if you noticed, but I have a pretty good gap right here that I've been playing with. This battery that I'm not really sure what it's out of. I got it brand new in box at a yard sale, but it's a Harley lithium battery, but it's a good bit narrower than the stock battery, which allows me to run a 2-inch charge pipe right through here. I've had a lot of folks ask me, what I'm going to do about an intercooler. And right off, I'm not going to intercool it. This wastegate spring is about 7 psi. I'm going to run really good fuel and run without an intercooler for just a little bit. I want to log the IAT, see how bad they really are. I know they're going to be bad, but I want to see how bad they really are. And then I'm probably, because space is really at a premium on these bikes, I'm probably going to run a water injection kit. Not water meth, because I don't want to deal with the methanol fuel enrichment issues, but just straight water. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do that yet. It's probably going to be a small tank right here with a pump and just a Hobbs switch where it starts spraying water, anything over, let's say 3 psi, somewhere in there. I may do temperature based, but that's a little more sophisticated than I want to get into. At some point, I would like to fit an intercooler on this thing, but I haven't found a spot where it works with this kit that I built. There's really no room down here in front of the radiator for it, especially since I moved the forks up in the clamps. That brings my front tire closer to the radiator stack right here. And I'm afraid that at the end of the track, when I come in hard on the brakes, I may run the front tire into an intercooler if it was there. So that's kind of out of the question. I've also considered possibly doing a intercooler in the plenum and then doing like some scoops to try to force air through it. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't gotten that far, but I really think a water injection will work. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't, especially for such short blasts down the track. I'm also going to be running really good fuel. Earlier in the video, I think I said that I was going to run this on pump gas. That's not entirely accurate. It's probably going to be ran on some Sunoco 100 octane, or I use a lot of the GT260X stuff from them when I was running nitrous. That's a 98 octane. I may go up to a 110 if I can find some unleaded 110, which I'm not even sure that exists. But we'll just see what happens. I mean, this thing's an experiment all the way around. So, yeah, we made a lot of progress in this video. Like I said, the next video out will be the fuel pump install. So, yeah, a lot of exciting things coming to the channel, like I explained earlier. So, y'all stay tuned. Please like, share, and subscribe this video. YouTube works in weird ways. The more you share it, the more people see it, the more popular it becomes, and then the more YouTube shares it with other people. So if we could get this video out there, that would be great. I mean, I get, gosh, probably 100 messages a week asking me, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? And it's just so nice to be able to say, all right, it's right here in this video. So anyway, thank you guys, and stay tuned for the next video. And remember, stock is never an option.